Good morning, everyone. You're listening to Live with Necee. I'm your host, Opal Bailey. Today is my final segment of Family Values, and I have with me a wonderful young man by the name of DickBaumbach, and he is going to share with you some of his family values as well. So, hey, Dick.
Hey, Opal, how are you?
Oh, doing great.
And I did bring the lovely wife, but she can only be here with a picture.
A silent partner?
A solid partner, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
We've known each other a little while.
That's funny. Hey, you want to talk to them and let them know how we met, or you want to?
Sure. We met through the Chamber of Commerce, and I was so impressed with how you handle yourself with the way, when I first met you, that you became a part of our lives, and it just has grown and grown, and we are so thrilled and happy that you are our project coordinator for our 50th wedding anniversary. That's right.
Aww.
5 years. Not 5 years. 5 years.
Oh, yeah. That's a lot of years.
Yes, we try.
Well, I'm so thankful for you two as well. Y'all are really sweet people. And so with that in mind, I know you were sharing with me before a little bit about how you and Diane met, but can you please share that? Because that is an awesome story.
Sure. I was with ABC News, and then I got drafted. I was in ABC News in New York, got drafted, got sent to basic training. And at the end of basic training, I was told that I was called in the office and told I was going to a secret Nike missile base in Cleveland, Ohio. So I couldn't tell anybody, including my parents, only that I was going to Cleveland. I got to Cleveland, got off the plane at the airport, and I walked out to the curb, and the cab driver said, "Are you going to the secret Nike missile base?" Which I really freaked out on. I then walked into the barracks and said, "Where are the girls?" And they said, "There are none." I said, "There are no girls in Cleveland, Ohio?" This is a ball from New York. And they said, "No." So I went to my lieutenant the next weekend and said, "Sir, I would like to have dances and mixers for these gentlemen since they can launch missiles to destroy the world." And he said, "That's a great idea. Here are the keys." And I ended up going to a nursing school where Diane was working. And I went in and made my proposal to the director of nursing. And she said that I had to talk to a Miss Taft. And so I said, "Fine, what can we have?" And they said, "No, she's babysitting right now." So we got Miss Taft on the phone. Miss Taft said, "Oh, that's a nice idea." And that night, I decided her voice intrigued me. So I went back to nursing school, and at 7:37, she came out of a meeting she was running. We left. 3 weeks later, we said we loved each other. And then in April of 1966, we got engaged, and we got married September 10th.
Wow. All because of her voice.
All because of her voice, and I was intrigued by her voice, and I just wanted to see what this young lady looked like.
Wow. So your heart went pitter-patter and...
My heart went pitter-patter, and hers went pitter-patter, she told me today. And so we pitter-pattered away, and and then, and the other part of it, and really how God works in your life, we got engaged in April, and then I got orders for Vietnam. And we were devastated because we were going to get married in September. And the next thing that happened, I got called into the office and told the orders for Vietnam were being canceled. I was going to Korea. Well, we were still devastated because you had to be in the country for 6 months, and I wouldn't be back for my own wedding. So I went over, and as God had it, I ended up working for the commanding general of 8th Army in U.S. Forces Korea, and he took a liking to me. And he asked me at the end of the first week if I had any problems. And I said, "No, I just was supposed to get married." And he said, "Well, do you love her?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Put your work in. You can go home and marry her."
Wow.
So we did. And then we went back to Korea together.
Wow. And so you've been together ever since?
Ever since. Except we, obviously, business-wise and everything, travel.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Over. Yeah. So, and she brings out the best in me, and hopefully we pass that on to our kids. and grandkids, and everybody's happy. We just made a commitment.
So with that in mind, what was one of the things that really kept y'all together? I know it may be a lot, but could you just pinpoint like one thing that really?
Well, one thing that, and it's a program called Worldwide Marriage Encounter. What happened is this was in 1974, and we were married at that point 7 years. 8 years. Sorry, 8 years. Diane had told me on a Friday afternoon that if we did not get our act together, we were going to have to figure out a way that we would split up. And it's like, wow. Well, on Monday, because I was freelancing for a Catholic publication, I got a phone call that I was to cover this event. So I called the priest up, and he said, yeah, come, I want you to cover the event. And then he called back and he said, why don't you have your wife come? I said, we have 2 little kids. We can't come. And he said, okay. He calls the next day. He doesn't even know me. And he says, why don't you and your wife come for dinner? And I said, Father, I'll ask her, but, So I asked Diane, and she said, yeah, I've never been to a rectory. What the heck? Let's go. So we go. The end of dinner, he says, you guys would be great for marriage encounter. He knew he didn't know we were having problems. And so we said, what's that? So he said, well, I'll tell you about it after. We covered the event, finished the event. This couple come over and said, we understand you're going on a marriage encounter weekend. I said, no. No. Said, oh, well, Father said you were. Well, and we ended up on that weekend. 3 weeks to the day later was our weekend, and it changed our life.
Wow.
And that was 42 years ago.
So was it a class that you?
It was a weekend where you learned how to communicate with each other, and that both husband and wives have feelings, and women can share the feelings more easily than men. But when guys figure it out, it's like, okay, I have feelings too. It brings them together. And in fact, our kids always will say they saw a difference in us. They didn't understand what the difference was, but they saw a difference in us.
Wow, that's wonderful, Dick.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, just another strange part of life.
So with that in mind, how did you and Diane come to be a part of Marriage Encounter? Because I believe y'all also became a part as well.
What happened is, so after that weekend, on the Tuesday night, we get a phone call asking us if we would consider becoming a team couple for Marriage Encounter, which means presenting team. And we were like, 3 weeks ago, we were. I remember flying down the stairs to Diane because we had the 2 in-house phones at that time. We won't say how long ago that was. And so anyway, we became a team couple, and we were very active until 1984 when our kids went into high school, and then we stepped back. And then in 2000, all we wanted to do was just go on another weekend, just be quiet. Well, we were asked again, and we ended up becoming leadership for the Southeast and North America and everything else. Wow.
And so are y'all continuing that now? Or that's still
we are continuing our role as public relations, media relations coordinators for Marriage Encounter for North America and internationally. But we've stepped back from actually presenting weekends because we want younger people now, Not that we're older or anything.
Right. Yeah, you want to pass the baton.
Exactly right.
Well, you know what? That was very, very awesome. That's so awesome. You know what? You mentioned also that y'all had, y'all was at the point of breaking up.
Yeah.
What was that you was going through? What struggle were you going through, if you didn't mind sharing with us?
Sure. I think that we were not communicating. I was working nights. She was working days. And we were watching these 2 little kids. Our son was in grammar school, but our daughter was a babysitter and things like that. And so it was, we were just on two different pages. And, I would come home at 2:00 in the morning and she would leave for work at 7:00. So, and it just, drove us farther and farther apart to, and we had our own home and everything like that. But it was like, we weren't communicating and we needed something. And I don't know how we would be sitting here if it was not God's plan to put it away. Oh, guess who just fell down? But if it wasn't for God's plan to put it into that perspective.
Wow. You know what? That says a lot about a lot of couples now, marriages now, about communication, because that is like the most vital part in a marriage. And it seemed that you both wanted to change. You both wanted to have that relationship to build. You wanted that marriage. So it takes two people. Do you agree?
Oh, yeah, it takes two people. And I think that, because either one of us could have said, no, we don't want to go to that thing. Or, well, in fact, the couple said, we have two little kids. We can't, go away for a weekend. They said, we'll move into the house. Now, again, this is back in the 70s, different time.
Right.
And so that next weekend, they came with their kids and spent a Saturday, everybody meeting each other, etc. So we were comfortable leaving our kids with them at our house. And it just was, we have said so many times, in God's plan, that were to occur in our lives. And I think it was that we were committed and focused on making things happen, making it right.
That's what I was going to ask you. What you think that was like that driving force behind that, and that was commitment and focus, because you wanted to do that. You wanted to stay together, and so you did whatever you needed to do.
Right.
So what would you say to someone who maybe have gone through the same thing with, lack of communication, going to different directions, busy lifestyle? What would you tell them if the partner is opposite of you, don't want to do anything, or if
they don't want to do anything, then you have a difficult time. I think it's really exploring programs and seeing, even if there's a half a day program, or just to see if you can get on the same page, because everybody goes through issues. I mean, it's not just one or two people; it's everybody, and so you just really say to each other, do we want to continue on this path? And I think, people say, wow, you guys are almost married 50 years now. Wow, that's amazing. Because now it seems that people are saying, well, I'll stay together for an hour and a half and then I'll do something else. Well, you can stay married if you communicate. And my strongest belief is that if guys share feelings with their spouses, because the woman understands the feelings. The guy is like, what?
Because, it's a hard time. It's hard for them to express their feelings. Right. Because especially if you grew up back in the era that we grew up in, that men were to take care of the family. Right. Whatever issues going in the family, it stayed in the family.
That's right.
The man, you deal with what you deal with. You don't cry. You don't show no emotion. You just go to work and provide. Well, now it's different, because women now want you to express. They want to receive. They want to hear what's going on. They want to be able for their husbands to say, hey, you made me mad. Just a simple thing like that, to say, hey, I'm hurt because you said this or said that. So I think it's vital, and it's very, very important. Again, we back right to one thing: communication. And I believe we have to trust the person in order to be able to share with them as well. What do you think?